Dankwa Kufado ene day wapa adwumakuo bi ho entoma registrar of companies na womo no adwumasono ben na wo ba be ene day ene opa wo mo ho ntoma e won kran ha na abra adwumade ne koso no mampani na Addo Dankwa Kufado chese sa registrar of companies adwumakuo yi ebeboa pa ama ya ban ehu enwumakuo hodro ya register won krata mu e wo meyi emu na wo se aban edi dwuma bi masa enwumakuo yi a wonhunu ne dodo ene wo mu nyina abose na watumi ayo eno susu betumi aboa mapre ne ketahye ne dwimudie ya ekoso e wo nwuma hodo mu no susu be free ho na fei enwuma bi a wo mo tintim krata gi tumi krata ya wo mo di sika soso bone so de friend money laundering no eno soso aban betumi ayi ne nyina free ho ka ne nyina abomu a na cheso man Ghana SPS ta e wo ne sika sam ene ne ntotoye emu na mampani na Addo Dankwa Kufado ene ne nsem a wo de atudwa e wo dwumade na se no yentie bi ne ewie a ye ne na na esi boaten atwetwe nkomo
of companies is finally ready to take charge of the administration of the registration of companies and businesses. It is a moment of considerable satisfaction for me as I had the pleasure on 19th August 2021 to give assent to the long-awaited Ghana Companies Act 2019, Act 992. Indeed, you may recall that in 2008, a committee of experts under the chairmanship of Mr. Justice Samuel Kofi Dateba, then a member of the Supreme Court, was commissioned to review the Companies Act 1963, Act 179, and reform the existing company legislation in the light of best practices to enhance the way of doing business in Ghana. It is thus wholly appropriate to have the eminent jurist as a pioneer member of the new board. The new Act, Act 992, seeks to introduce improved corporate governance standards for companies operating in Ghana. The Act draws on the experience of some developed jurisdictions and includes specifically international best practices from the United Kingdom, New Zealand, South Africa, and Mauritius. Section 362, subsection 1 of Act 992, requires the President to appoint in accordance with Article 195 of the Constitution of the Republic a person other than the Registrar General as the Registrar of Companies to perform certain functions prescribed under the Act or any other enactment. The passage of the Ghana Companies Act 2019, Act 992, in May 2019, made provision for the establishment of this new statutory entity, which separated the office of the Registrar of Companies from the Registrar General's Department, and which is entrusted with the important function of taking up solely the duties of company and business registration and advisory services. It is a body corporate with perpetual succession. It may, as a result, acquire and hold property and enter into contract or any other transaction. Having regard to the ability of the Registrar of Companies to mobilize substantial internally generated funds, the Office of Registrar of Companies is required by Section 352 of Act 992 to be financially autonomous of government. By virtue of a variety of measures introduced by Act 992 to ensure the timely provision of information to be entered into the company's register, including processes to verify information provided by companies to the Registrar of Companies, and provisions directing access to information contained in the register, the Office of the Registrar of Companies will become a veritable partner of government in the effort to root out corruption.
Mampani na Addo Dankwa Kufado ena wo chechiremi wo kyerese wo the Companies Act foforo aba na Companies Act no kyerese wo se yenya Registrar of Companies ya ono no adwuma enhye registrar general's department no ase ono de adwuma wo ya ne so be register company enyem se registrar general ho no adwuma wo mo ye ne do so nti we de companies nko a na wo ba be register be boa ama aban ehunu companies ahodo wo ho na wo ye nhye bi a etumi aso obi bia eso nti mampani nsem enne wo de tudwa wo ho nom eno no na omen atenten ne soafo omen soafo wo no na hwe atenten ne so Godfred ye bo Adame ena wono so akyekire mu said the act no ekire ene adwuma potin asa registrar of companies or babeyo.
Activity we are about to perform today is a culmination of 20 years of work towards reforming the test and practice of company law in Ghana, which have been superintended by successive Attorney General. The first steps were actually taken in 2002 when the vision of the then Attorney General, a certain Addo I think he's now the President of Ghana, gave birth to the formation of the Business Law Reform Committee. The mandate to the Business Law Reform Committee set up by you, Mr. President, during your tenure as Attorney General, was to research into aspects of the law regulating business in Ghana, which required urgent reform. One law that the Business Law Reform Committee recommended for urgent reform was the Old Companies Act, 1963, Act 179. To give effect to the recommendations of the Business Law Reform Committee, the next Attorney General, Papa Wiswankuma, commissioned the late Justice V.C.R.A.C. Crab to draft a new companies bill. Incidentally, Justice Crab had in the early 1960s served as secretary to Professor Gawa, who drafted the Old Companies Act. Perhaps, as a result of the romantic entanglement Justice Crab had with the work of Gawa, the draft bill presented by him bore a close resemblance to Act 179, and therefore it was considered to be not far-reaching enough, even though it contains some important recommendations which are incorporated into the current Companies Act 2019, Act 992. The next Attorney General, Ayuko, in 2006, thus set up another committee chaired by his deputy, the Honorable Joe Gatti, to review the state of company law in Ghana and make proposals for his considerations. When Joe Gatti assumed the mantle as Attorney General, he dissolved his own committee and set up a committee of experts on business law reform chaired by His Lordship Justice Professor Samuel Kofi Dateba. Fortunately, the mandate to the Dateba committee was renewed by the next Attorney General Betty Modi Dusu, who expanded the membership of the committee from 5 to 9. This committee's work concluded in the drafting of the Companies Act 2019 at 992.
Attorney General Ora Godfred Yebo Adame ena yetie nini.
Teacher ni ya Conference of Heads of Assisted Senior High Schools Charles Wadano Alhaji Abubakar Yakub ena wadi ade said